Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's begin by offering our respects to our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Hello, Shwara, please.
The audio is not coming through, right?
No, not yet.
One second. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so we will try and summarize the first 6 chapters. One second. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Bhagavad Gita has a total of 18 chapters. It's divided into 3 sections, first 6, middle 6, and last 6. we have finished the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called as a Jnana section. It's called as a Karma section. And the first 6 chapters deal with how or explain how karma leads to bhakti. So we'll go through these chapters quickly. The first chapter is titled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we see that the Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dhritarashtra spoke. So one may ask, why is it that Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra Uvacha? Why it does not begin with the central characters, Krishna or Arjuna? Why does it begin with Dhritarashtra Uvacha? So the answer to this question is that because Dhritarashtra is inquiring, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do on the battlefield after they have assembled there in Kurukshetra, one can understand that this is coming from a previous context. There is a history that has happened before this war, before this conversation has taken place. So it helps us to understand the historical context under which this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Therefore, this Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. And it also reveals the mentality of Dhritarashtra. So he is differentiating between his sons and the sons of his brother. Because Vedic system is you don't make any differentiation between your children and the sons of your brother. But he is making a distinction. And this is exactly what was the problem with Dhritarashtra. And he always differentiated between his brother's sons and he favored his own sons. Therefore, there was a lot of injustice. And therefore, now the war is taking place. So he's inquiring from Sanjaya. Sanjaya has a divine vision. The divine vision was given to him by his spiritual master called
Vyasji.
Yes, Vyasadeva. Okay. So here, Sanjaya is describing what Duryodhana is speaking. So Duryodhana has gone to his teacher. What is the name of Duryodhana's teacher?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. So he's going and telling Dronacharya that, look, your intelligent disciple has so expertly arranged the army. Who is this intelligent disciple who has arranged the army on the opposite side?
Bhima. Oh no, Arjuna, sorry.
No. Who was the who was the commander in chief? Of the Pandavas?
Drishtadyumna?
Drishtadyumna, yes, Drishtadyumna. So he says, yes, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, son of Drupada. So Drishtadyumna was the son of Drupada and he was the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas. So he's saying this to actually taunt his guru because even though Dronacharya knew that Drishtadyumna has taken birth especially to kill Dronacharya, still he accepted him as his disciple and he gave him military knowledge. So you can see how Duryodhana is actually taunting his guru here. So then Duryodhana goes on to describe the warriors on the opposite side first. So in his when he is describing the warriors on the opposite side, he fails to mention one very important personality.
Krishna?
Yes, he fails to mention Krishna. And on his own side, he mentions personalities. At that time, he's mentioning Karna. Because Karna, Karna is not present on the battlefield. Karna makes his appearance in the war only after the fall of Bhishma. So he's making the absent Karna to be present and he's making the present Krishna to be absent. So you can see the mentality of Duryodhana. Duryodhana thinks that Krishna is insignificant because he is not going to use any weapons. But actually the game changer was Krishna. Okay, so after he mentions the warriors on his own side and then on the opposite side and then he mentions the warriors on his own side, he says that our strength is immeasurable. Yes, the army on the Kauravas, they were 11 Akshahunis and on his own side, there were only 7 Akshahunis. So on paper, you will see that definitely the Kauravas had more army, more warriors, more elephants, more commanders compared to the Pandavas. and then the conscience are blown. And here in verse 14, Krishna makes his first appearance in the Bhagavad Gita. So normally when a hero of a movie makes his appearance, no, it's dramatic, it is. And here Krishna is making his appearance, his remarkable appearance in the Bhagavad Gita for the first time in verse 14. Now, what is so remarkable about Krishna's appearance in this verse? What is so remarkable about Krishna's appearance?
Driving the chariot of Arjuna.
Exactly. He's driving the chariot. They are both stationed on the chariot. So Krishna has taken the subordinate position of a servant. He's taken the subordinate position of being the driver for Arjuna. So this shows how dear devotees are to Krishna. So this is Krishna's first appearance in the Bhagavad Gita. And 21 marks the initial plot twist. Because now suddenly, out of the blue, Arjuna is telling Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies. So this is a twist in the plot, because the conch shells have been blown, everybody is set to fight, and the war should have begun now. But suddenly Arjuna says, please take my chariot between the two armies. By what name is Arjuna calling Krishna? Infallible. So infallible is, what's the name? What name of Krishna means infallible?
Achyuta?
Achyuta, yes, Achyuta. So infallible means one who never fails. So Krishna never fails in what? In this context. Krishna never fails in what in this context? Because he is drawing the chariot. He never fails to? He never fails to protect his devotees. The reason why Arjuna is taking that subordinate position, taking the servant's position of his devotee, is because he wants to protect Arjuna. So Krishna never fails to protect his devotees. And here, verse 25 marks the first words that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita. So the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assemble here. So he is telling him, just see what is it that you have to face, what is coming up. So he's giving a preview of what you have to do now, coming shortly, what is coming up shortly. So 25 marks the first words that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita. Now Arjuna is getting overwhelmed, and he comes up with 5 reasons why he should not fight the war. So his first reason is compassion. He's feeling compassion in his heart. So Arjuna's first reason is compassion. And then we see how Arjuna is going through distress, physical distress as well as mental distress. Physical distress because he says, my body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my gandiv is slipping from my hand, my skin is burning. So he's going through physical distress as well as mental distress, because he says that my mind is reeling. So Arjuna is in a very, very is in a condition that he has never been in before. Physically and mentally, he's been very strongly affected. Then he comes up with other reasons why he should not fight the war. 32 to 35, he says that we cannot derive any pleasure. So this is the enjoyment argument. He's saying that I cannot enjoy the kingdom. We cannot enjoy the kingdom because all the people with whom we want to share the joy with, they will be gone. They will be dead and gone. So how can we derive any pleasure? So this is Arjuna's enjoyment reason why he does not want to fight the war. Then comes Arjuna's third reason why he doesn't want to fight the war, that is sin. He says sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors, because if killing the guru would be guru aparad. So he's saying that sin will overcome us. How can I kill my guru? How can I kill my grandfather Bhishma? He's such a great devotee. So sin is the third argument of Arjuna why he does not want to fight the war. And the fourth reason is irreligion will be predominant in the family. So destruction of family traditions. And Arjuna is saying that because the family traditions will be destroyed, there will be unwanted progeny or unwanted births. What are unwanted progeny? Unwanted progeny means those children who are born out of the religious principles, because he says that family traditions will be destroyed, the women will be polluted, and that will lead to degradation of womanhood, and that will lead to unwanted progeny. Children will be born out of marriage. So therefore here we see Arjuna's 4 reasons. 5th reason is in the next chapter. And so here we see finally the chapter ends. Sanjay is describing Arjuna having spoken thus on the battlefield. He cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So this is the position of us living entities. Arjuna is actually representing us on the battlefield. Just as how now Arjuna is perplexed what I should do. In the same way, we also go through some perplexities on what we should do. Sometimes we don't understand what should we do, what should we not do. So when we are faced with perplexities in life, we have to take shelter of Bhagavad Gita. We have to take shelter of Krishna. We have to take shelter of the bona fide representative of Krishna, who is the spiritual master. Or we ask advanced Vaishnavas, devotees, as to what we should do. So this is exactly what Arjuna is representing, the perplexities that we may face in our own life. Now, where in chapter 1 is the element of bhakti? Who can say? Now, today's class is going to be a very interactive class. So, please try and answer the questions. And I can see only 2 cameras on, so I don't know what is going on the opposite side. I can only see Lavina and Vivansh. So I really don't know what's going on there. Thank you, Sri Radha. I can see you. Bhumika, thank you. Meena, very nice. Okay, so where is the element of bhakti here? I can say Venkatchari Prabhu, thank you. So where is the element of bhakti? See here, when you see Krishna as a chariot driver of Arjuna, does it not reflect the potency of the bhakti of Arjuna? Yes.
In text 14.
Okay. And then when Arjuna refers to Krishna as Achyuta, infallible, because he never fails in his affection to his devotees, or he never fails to protect his devotees. Here you can see the elements of bhakti in chapter number 1. Okay. Now we'll go to chapter 2. Now, chapter 2 is titled Contents of the Gita Summarized, because basically all that Krishna wanted to speak is there in chapter 2. It extended to chapter 18 because Arjuna had further questions. In 18 chapters, Arjuna asks a total of 17 questions. 17 questions are there. And so far in chapter 6, how many questions has Arjuna asked? We will see today. Okay. So anyway, coming to chapter 2, now Krishna speaks and he tells Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? And then this verse 3 is considered to be verbal slaps of Krishna to Arjuna. Why? Because he is calling him Klaibyam and Shudram. He is calling him petty, small-minded. He's saying petty weakness, small-minded, and he's calling him impotent. So he's saying that you are important and you are weak. You are Shudram and you are Klybium. Now, Arjuna comes back very strongly to Krishna's statement, because Arjuna is saying that how can I counteract with arrows men like Bhishma and Drona? So Arjuna is coming back very strongly at what Krishna is saying. So he's saying that it's not just an ordinary thing that how can you expect me to kill these great personalities like Bhishma and Drona, whom I should be worshipping? And then Arjuna is saying that it's better to live by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of these great souls. So Arjuna is ready to go to the forest and beg and live, and in over and above killing these great personalities. So this is Arjuna's heart-wrenching question: what to do? Conquer them or be conquered by them? So this is Arjuna's fifth argument: indecision. He is not able to decide which is better. Should I conquer them or should I be conquered by them? Now, verse 7 is the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita. It is in verse 7 that Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna. See, Krishna has not yet started giving advice on what you should do to Arjuna, because Arjuna has not yet surrendered. But here he says that I am your disciple. Now I am your disciple, soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this is the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita. And also, this marks the first question that Arjuna asks to Krishna. Basically, if you see, there is no question mark in this verse, right? So it's a question that he's not explicitly asking, but it does imply. This statement of his actually implies a question as to, please tell me what I should do. What is the right thing to do? What is the right thing to do? Please tell me what is best for me. So Arjuna is asking him, tell me what is the right thing to do. So this is Arjuna's first question in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And then we see Krishna is smiling. One may think, why is Krishna smiling? What is the significance of Krishna smiling? Because if one is crying and one is in such a pathetic condition, one should not smile, or otherwise it appears as though one is making fun of the other person. But the reason why Krishna is smiling is why is Krishna smiling here? Anybody remembers?
Because finally Arjuna has surrendered to him and asked him, what should I do?
Yes, exactly. So Krishna is pleased that Arjuna has surrendered, and therefore he is smiling because Krishna is happy. And now the stage is set so that Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita. And then from 11 to 30, Krishna goes on to explain the difference between the body and the soul. So up to verse 30, when he describes the soul and the difference between the body and the soul, how you will kill only the body, not the soul never dies, and so on and so forth, Krishna is countering the compassion argument of Arjuna. Okay. And then from 30, in 32, Krishna is counteracting the enjoyment argument of Arjuna, because he's saying that if you do your duty as a Kshatriya, if you fight and do your duty, then it will open the door of the heavenly planets for you. So here he's countering the enjoyment argument. He's saying that yes, you can enjoy in heaven if you can fight this war, do your duty as a Kshatriya. And here we see how Krishna converts Arjuna's lose-lose argument to a win-win argument. He says that if you lose the war, what will happen? You will go to heaven and you will enjoy. And if you win the war, also you will enjoy, because you can enjoy this vast kingdom. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are in a win-win situation. In verse 33, Krishna is countering the sin argument of Arjuna by saying that if you do your duty, then you will not incur any sins. If you neglect your duties only, you will incur sins. So he is counteracting the sin argument of Arjuna in this particular verse. Even here in verse 38, he says that by fighting this war, you will not incur any sin. In verse 37, you see Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight the war. So he's encouraging him to fight the war. Then see here 39 is an important verse. 39 is called as a transitional verse. Krishna says that so far I have described this knowledge through analytical study. Now I'll explain to you in terms of working without fruitive results. So this analytical study is Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga. He's given him the knowledge of the difference between the body and the soul. That is the first knowledge of spiritual life, to know the difference between the body and the soul. Then I explain in terms of working without fruitive results. Now he says that this is Buddhi Yoga. So working without fruitive results means you do your duty but don't be attached to the fruit. So that is Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. So then Krishna goes on to glorify Bhakti Yoga. He says that in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. There is nothing to lose. And how devotees are resolute in purpose. They do not get distracted. They are determined. Like that, he goes on to explain Bhakti Yoga. And then in 54 comes Arjuna's second question. Arjuna's second question in the Bhagavad Gita is, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence? Or what is the symptoms of a sthita pragya? One who is fixed up, one who's fixed up in transcendental life. What are his symptoms? So then Krishna goes on to explain for the other verses, what are the symptoms of a sthita pragya, which we have seen in detail when we did this chapter. Then 62 and 63. In 61, before that, Krishna says that one who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, fixes his consciousness upon me, is known to be a man of steady intelligence. So one can restrain the senses only by fixing our consciousness upon Krishna. Upon me, Krishna says. So here in 61, Krishna is revealing his divinity. He's saying that who is that person on which you have to meditate? Who is that person on whom we have to fix our mind upon, whom we should concentrate on? So Krishna is saying that you have to fix your consciousness upon me. Krishna is not mentioning any third party here. Okay. So he is revealing that he is the object on whom we have to fix our consciousness on. And one can restrain the senses. So sense control is only possible by bhakti towards Krishna. So here we can see bhakti in second chapter. And also we see bhakti in the second chapter here in when Krishna describes after the transitional verse. How a devotee is fixed up, he's resolute in purpose, how there is no endeavor, there is no loss or diminution in bhakti yoga. So here these are the verses where there is bhakti in chapter number 2. And we've also seen Arjuna's second question in this particular chapter. Then here we see this verse, the 8-step trajectory to tragedy, 62 and 63. How a fall down begins by contemplating, just by thinking about something, contemplating on the objects of senses. Eventually one falls down to the material pool. So these 8 steps we see in 62 and 63. So now we'll go to the third chapter titled Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga begins with Arjuna asking a question. So this is question number what by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita?
It's fourth question.
5.
Fifth. What are the other questions? What are the questions that Arjuna has asked so far?
First question was he surrenders and he tells that you tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's first question. Second question?
Second question is
Second question? Should we go back?
Sinful.
Where is that? Symptoms of a person who is fixed up in transcendence.
Yes.
In
Symptoms, yeah. Symptoms
Yeah,
of a
54.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Arjuna's second question in the Bhagavad Gita. What are the symptoms of a person who is merged in transcendence? Or what are the symptoms of a person who is Sthita Pragya? Okay. Now, one thing I forgot to mention here is, see, this verse 49. This is the verse that has confused Arjuna, because here Krishna is saying, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. He's saying that stay away from abominable activities, or stay away from sinful activities, or stay away from avaram karma. Krishna used the word avaram karma, so abominable, sinful. So Krishna is saying that keep all sinful activities away. And then at the same time, Krishna told Arjuna to fight. So therefore now Arjuna is confused, and it leads to his third question in the Bhagavad Gita, where he's saying that, why do you want me to fight this war if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Because Krishna has been glorifying the symptoms of a Sthita Pragya in the previous chapter. And while talking about the symptoms of the Sthita Pragya, he's talking about peace, right? He's talking about, see here again, he's talking about peace. And he's talking about how one should be intelligent. You have to give up all sense of proprietorship. Don't have any false ego. Give up all desires for sense gratification. So Arjuna is thinking that, okay, if I have to be renounced, if I have to give up all desire for sense gratification, that means I have to be renounced, right? I have to be renounced. I have to go to the forest. I have to practice jnana yoga. But then at the same time, Krishna is telling him to fight the war. So here Arjuna is confused, and it leads to his third question. He's saying, if you think intelligence, jnana, is better than karma, then why do you want me to fight this war? So Arjuna is saying that I am confused by your equivocal instructions. Please tell me what is beneficial for me. Then Arjuna is referred to by the name sinless. What name of Arjuna means that he is sinless? You can quickly go to the verse, see the synonyms, and answer the question. Okay, Anaga. Okay, the word Anaga, the name Anaga means sinless. So that is one of Arjuna's names. See, Arjuna is qualified to receive this knowledge because he is sinless. So Krishna is saying that, oh, sinless Arjuna. So Arjuna is not thinking about his own sense gratification. He has a soft nature. He has a soft heart. He's willing to go to the forest also. So he's not greedy for the kingdom. Therefore, he is qualified to receive this knowledge. And in the previous chapter, I forgot to mention that verse number 11 marks the beginning of the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. It's from verse number 11 of the second chapter that Krishna begins to give transcendental knowledge to Arjuna. Previously, he has spoken, but he has chastised Arjuna and he's asked him, how have you got these impurities, etc. But the knowledge itself, Krishna has started giving from verse number 11. So this is another significant verse. Okay. So then Krishna says that I have already explained that there are two classes of people, because Krishna said that I've explained in terms of Sankhya Yoga. Now I will explain in Buddhi Yoga. So he's saying that I've already explained that there are two classes of men. Who are they? Those who understand by empirical philosophical speculation, Jnana Yoga, and those who understand by devotional service. But Krishna is saying that it's better to do your duties, restrain your senses, It's better to do your duties than to restrain your senses. Why? Because here Krishna talks about mithyacharis, pretenders. Pretenders are those people who try to restrain the senses, but the mind is still dwelling on sense objects. So the mind is not yet controlled. The mind is still thinking about gratifying the senses, where externally they are trying to restrain the senses. So Krishna says that such people are pretenders, are mithyacharis. So therefore, Krishna's recommending to do your prescribed duties. Not only should one do the prescribed duties, but one should do the work as a sacrifice for Vishnu. When we do the duties and give up the results, not just give the results, but to whom we have to give the results, we have to give the results to Vishnu. Then that is Bhakti Yoga. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, Krishna is saying. If you can't do that, then Krishna is saying do karma kanda. So what is karma kanda? That's why here from verse 10 onwards, Krishna is talking about the cycle of sacrifice, that how we do yagyas, we do our prescribed duties, we do our yagyas, the different yagyas that are prescribed in the Shastras, and then we please the devatas. When the devatas are pleased, then they give us our necessities. We get light, we get air, we get rain, all these we get from the different devatas. So there is a cooperation between the men and the demigods. Then comes the important verse where Krishna says that the devotees are released from all kinds of sin because they eat food which is offered first. So this is very, very important, why we should offer everything that we eat. Not that today is a festival, today I make some special items, or today I make some sweet dish, or today I've made a special dessert and that I will offer to the Lord. No, this has become a habit nowadays in the modern times. One thinks that only when I make something special, I will offer to the Lord. No, but whatever you eat, we have to offer it first. Only then that food is free from all kinds of sins. If we eat food that is not offered to the Lord, we are only eating, verily eating only sin, Krishna says. Then comes this cycle of how we are getting our food. See, Krishna says all living beings subsist on food grains. The grains are coming from rains. Where are the rains coming from? Rains are coming by doing yagyas. And where are these yagyas mentioned? The yagyas are a part of our prescribed duties. These prescribed duties we know from the Vedas. And where are the Vedas coming from? Vedas are coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is another cycle that is mentioned here. This is called as a cycle of sacrifice. Then Krishna says that a person, for a devotee, there is no duty. A self-realized soul does not have to do any duty, but at the same time, he says, still you do the duty. Why? For the sake of setting an example. Then he gives the example of Janak Maharaj. How Janak Maharaj is a self-realized soul, but still he performed his duties he did his prescribed duties for the sake of educating the people in general. So although a self-realized person, a devotee, a pure devotee does not have to do the prescribed duties because he is beyond all these things that are prescribed in the initial section of the Vedas, but still for the sake of setting an example, still Krishna is recommending that you must do your duty. So one should not think that, oh, I'm a devotee, so I don't have to do any duties. No, you still have to do, because that's what Krishna is recommending in the Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna gives himself as an example. He says that there is no work prescribed for me within all three planetary systems. Yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So Krishna also himself is doing his prescribed duties. So we have no excuse. Here Krishna is talking about how if he fails to do the prescribed duties, then there would be ruination. Then there would be unwanted population. So here Krishna is defeating the family traditions or Varna Shankara argument of Arjuna. Krishna is saying that if you don't do your duty, then only there will be Varna Shankara. Then only the family traditions will be destroyed. Because if you don't do your duty, you don't fight the war, then obviously Duryodhana is going to be crown king. And then there is going to be destruction of family traditions. And that will lead to Varna Shankara or unwanted population. Then in 33, Krishna is talking about repression. He says, what can repression accomplish? Because he's saying that if you have a certain nature, everybody has a certain nature. Kshatriyas have a certain nature. Therefore, you have to fight. It is your nature to fight. Don't repress your nature, Krishna is saying. And immediately in the next verse, 34, Krishna is talking about regulating attachment and aversion. So he's talking about regulating the senses. So one may say that repression and regulation, these are two opposite concepts. But so how do we understand this? What we have to regulate our material desires. We have to regulate our vasanas. That, yes, we have to repress. We have to control, but we should not repress our material nature. Each of us has a certain nature. So if somebody by nature likes music, then you can sing for Krishna. You can play musical instruments for Krishna, like that. So whatever is your nature, you use that nature to serve the Lord, but you regulate the material desires. Now we come to Arjuna's next question. He's saying, by what is one impelled to sinful activities even unwillingly? So what is it that is forcing us to act sinfully even though we don't want to do it? So this is Arjuna's question number
4.
Question number 4. Yes. So what is the answer? Krishna says that it is lust. It is lust. So then Krishna goes on to explain how lust can be conquered and where lust is situated, etc., etc. And then he finishes the chapter by saying that you can steady the mind, you can conquer the lust, you can steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. So talking about spiritual intelligence leads us to the next chapter, which is titled Transcendental Knowledge. Then in chapter 4, Krishna is saying that you are not the first person to receive this knowledge. Actually, this knowledge was spoken to the sun god. So originally, this Bhagavad Gita was spoken to the sun god, and then it has come down through the chain of disciplic succession in Guru Parampara. And then comes Arjuna's question number 5. What is Arjuna's question? How is it that you have spoken this knowledge to the sun god? Because the sun god is existing from so many millions of years. But Krishna, you are my contemporary. You are right here in front of me. So how should I understand that you have spoken this knowledge to the sun god? So this is Arjuna's 5th question. So what does Krishna say? That many, many births have passed before this. So Krishna is saying that I have always existed. Krishna is saying that I am unborn. There has never been a time that I have never existed. And then Krishna says that he appears in every millennium. So Krishna appears once in the day of Brahma. Krishna appears on this particular planet. And why does Krishna appear also? He explains. He says, I appear. When does he appear? Whenever there is a decline in religious practice. Why does he appear? To deliver the pious, to annihilate the miscreants, and to re-establish the principles of religion. Then comes this important verse where Krishna says that as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Sometimes we see that why some people are more blessed, why some people are getting quicker realizations, why some people are struggling so hard to even chant one round where other people can chant even 64 rounds in a day. So why? Because Krishna says that as people surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. The more we surrender, the more Krishna is going to reciprocate. So that is proportional. Then Krishna tells that the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. So we cannot understand the law of karma. The law of karma is very, very difficult to understand. Well, we should not even try to understand. Otherwise, we will get confused. Then Krishna says that one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction. So there are 3 terms actually. Karma, akarma, and vikarma. Akarma is inaction. Karma is action. And sinful action is vikarma. So Krishna is saying one who sees inaction in action and action in action is intelligent. Or what does that mean? It means that we are doing activities, but those activities are not giving us any sinful reactions. Okay. So that is inaction in action. And action in inaction, or we are thinking that we are doing good, but actually we are not doing good. We are taking the reactions of that. Because sometimes when we feel that, okay, we are feeding the poor, but if we are feeding the poor meat, then that is not a karma. That is vikarma. So Krishna is saying one who says inaction in action and action in action is intelligent amongst the beings. Then in 34, Krishna speaks another very, very important verse Krishna tells about the importance of accepting a bona fide spiritual master. So Krishna is saying, just try to learn the truth by approaching a bona fide spiritual master. So here Krishna is recommending that one should accept a guru, one should accept a bona fide spiritual master. And then in 39 and 40, he's talking about who is qualified to receive the knowledge and who is not qualified to receive transcendental knowledge. One who is ignorant and faithless is not qualified. He will never understand transcendental knowledge. But a faithful man who is dedicated, who can subdue his senses, that person is eligible to receive such knowledge. Okay. If one is ignorant and faithless, if one is only doubting and cross-questioning for the sake of accusing, then one will never be able to understand transcendental knowledge. Now Krishna ends this verse by saying that slash the doubts by using the weapon of knowledge. And then Krishna says, stand and fight, O Bharata. So now again Arjuna is confused. Why? Because Krishna is saying that he's saying use the weapon of knowledge. So does he have to really use the weapons and fight the war, or he has to use the weapon of knowledge? So does he have to really fight, or what is it that he has to do? Arjuna is still confused. That leads us to chapter number 5. Did we miss something? 1 second. No. So chapter number 5 again begins with a question. This is question number?
5th one.
5th or 6th? Okay, we will see a summary of the question. This is a 6th question.
Okay.
So again, Arjuna is asking the same question that he asked in the beginning of the 3rd chapter. What I should do? You want me to renounce the work, or you want me to work with devotion? Then Krishna says that both are the same in the sense that both are good for liberation, but still of the two, which is more superior? Devotional service. So Krishna says that yes, both can lead to liberation, but still of the two, devotional service is superior. Why? Because this can give you results without delay. This can give you quick results. Jnana yoga can take many, many lifetimes. It can take millions and millions of lifetimes. But bhakti yoga can take you back home, back to Godhead within the same lifetime itself. Just one moment of surrender and Krishna will take you. So here in 10, Krishna is using the lotus leaf analogy. How we can do our duty we can do our material duties and still not be affected. Just as how the lotus leaf is in the dirty water, but the lotus leaf is not touched by water. Then 14 and 15, Krishna is talking about how there are 3 doers.
Yeah.
Right? Who are the 3 doers? The living entity, material nature, and the Lord. The living entity desires, material nature arranges, and the Lord sanctions. Okay, so there are 3 doers. But who takes the responsibility of the actions? Only the living entity. The Lord or material nature will not take responsibility of our actions. So the karmic reaction only comes to the living entity because it all began with the desire of the living entity. 17 to 26, Krishna talks about mukti by focusing on the super soul. In 18, he's talking about samadarshina, or how one should see everyone or how a transcendental person sees everybody with an equal vision, because he sees a super soul in the heart of all the living entities. Now in 27 and 28 was the end of the chapter. Krishna is talking about Ashtanga Yoga. So here he's laying the foundation for what he's going to speak next in chapter number 6, where he discusses Ashtanga Yoga in great detail. In this last verse of this chapter, Krishna is giving us the ultimate peace formula. He's saying that he's the ultimate beneficiary of all the sacrifice. So one may do a yagya for pleasing any devata, but ultimately he is getting the benefit. Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary Then Krishna says that he is also the supreme lord of all the planets and the demigods. So he is the owner of all the planets and all the devatas also. He's the owner of also all the devatas. And then he says that he is the supreme benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities. So one who understands this, that he is the ultimate beneficiary, he is the supreme lord and the benefactor of all the living entities, then there will be no war. Because what are we fighting for? For some small piece of land, for some personal egos. But if you understand that Krishna is the owner of everything else, not you and me, and if we understand that Krishna is the ultimate benefactor, he's the supreme enjoyer, he's the supreme lord, then what would the war be about? There would be no need to fight. So this is the peace formula. Then in 6, of course, Krishna is talking about. See, where do we see bhakti? I forgot these points. In the previous verse, in the previous chapter, in the last verse where Krishna is talking about the peace formula, that there is the bhakti present in chapter number 5, because he's talking about how if one understands that he is the supreme lord and he is the ultimate beneficiary and he is the well-wisher of all living entities, then there would be no peace. So there he's talking about when we have devotion and we understand Krishna's position, then there would be no war. So there is the bhakti element in chapter number 5. Okay, so in chapter 6, Krishna in detail, he explains Ashtanga Yoga. I have a chart to explain this better. Let me share. See, Arjuna considers renouncing the world because he said that I can go to the forest. So Arjuna says, yes, I'm ready to renounce the world because I can practice yoga. Now, on what basis can he say that he can practice yoga? One, he was born and brought up in the forest. So it's not that he's never lived in a forest. And he's also lived in the forest during the 13-year exile period. So a large part of his life, actually, Arjuna has lived in the forest. So yes, he can practice yoga. And he has also done yogic austerities. He has even done tapasya. He has done a lot of tapasya in order to get celestial weapons. He got weapons from Lord Shiva, and he's even traveled to heavenly planets. Who can travel to heaven in the current body that we have? We cannot do that, isn't it? But Arjuna, in that body itself, he was able to even travel to heaven. So he is saying that yes, I have even done tapasya to please the devatas. I pleased Lord Shiva, I went to heaven, and I have got the celestial weapons. So yes, he is qualified. So you can say that he is physically qualified. But does he have the mental capacity? That can be questioned. Why? Because in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, we saw how Arjuna had a mental breakdown. He was physically distressed. He was also mentally distressed. He said that my mind is reeling. So actually, Krishna explains that equanimity is needed in yoga. When Krishna explains this chapter number 6, he says that equanimity is needed in yoga when? In the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. That's why when Krishna begins chapter 6 itself, immediately, right in the beginning, he talks about controlling the senses. So equanimity or keeping the mind under control is needed in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of this Ashtanga Yoga process. So then Arjuna himself agrees, okay, this is not practical. Now, when this is not practical, what to do? Of course, one is going to seek some alternatives. So is there any alternative? Yes, there is an alternative, Bhakti Yoga. And this then chapter 6 leads us to the Bhakti Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita. So here we can see Arjuna's questions. First question, what is the right thing to do? Second question, what are the characteristics of a Sthita Pragya? Third question, why fight if knowledge is better than action? That was in the beginning of chapter 3. Fourth question, what makes us act self-destructively? What forces us to engage in sinful activities even though we don't want to do? That is fourth question. Fifth question, how come you have given this instruction to the sun god? Then sixth question, again in the beginning of chapter 5, what should I do? I should renounce work or should I work? Then Arjuna's seventh question, which was in chapter 6. O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable for me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. So, of course, there is no question mark here again, but the statement implies a question. What is it that he's implying? Is that Arjuna is telling Krishna that this mind is very, very difficult to control. So what to do? Is there any alternative? That's the thing that he's implying. And then 8th question, which he asks in chapter 6, is what is the destination of somebody who has taken up on the spiritual path, but he was not able to complete the journey due to some reason, because his mind has got distracted due to worldly mindedness. Arjuna says he is not able to attain perfection. So this was Arjuna's 8th question. You can see the summary when I share the slides. So in the first 6 chapters, Arjuna has asked 8 questions. Let us see some names of Krishna in the first 6 chapters. Keshava, what does that name mean? Keshava?
Killer of the demon Keshi?
Yes, killer of the Keshi demon. Achyuta?
Infallible.
Yes. Govinda?
All pleasure. Eh.
Lord Govinda, Govinda has 3 meanings. One who gives pleasure to the senses, one who gives pleasure to land, and one who gives pleasure to the cows. Because go can also mean cow or senses or land. So Govinda means Lord Govinda has 3 meanings. Then Madhusudana?
The killer of Madhu.
Yes. This?
Janardana, the conqueror of the world, I think. Janardana.
Right.
No. Janardana? Maintainer of the living entities. Jan means living entities. Then Madhava?
Madhava. It's a belief.
All opulent.
Husband of the goddess of fortune. Varshneya? He comes from which dynasty? Vrishni. Arisodana? Killer of the enemies. Ishvara?
Bhagavana.
The supreme controller. Bhutanam Ishvara? Bhutanam Ishvara? Ishvara means supreme controller. So Bhutanam Ishvara?
Supreme
Controller of? Bhutanam means?
Goose, golf,
Lord of all the living entities. So Bhutana means living entities. Maha Ishvara? The Supreme Lord. Maha Ishvara. Then Suhridam. Suhridam. Hridaya means what?
Hridaya means heart.
Heart.
Okay. Suhridam means?
Who lives in our heart.
Lives.
Suhrida means the benefactor. He is the one he is our well-wisher, right? He is living right in our heart. He is our well-wisher. So he is our benefactor. He's our ultimate well-wisher. Okay. Suhridam. Mahabahu.
Some mighty arm.
Mighty armed. Yes, very nice. Now Arjuna's names. Pandava.
Pandava. Son of Pandu.
Yes. Dhananjaya.
Dhananjaya.
Victory.
Dhananjaya. Dhan.
Oh, money. Lakshmi.
But
All Someone
What
who's a
about money?
conqueror of all money or Lakshmi.
Okay. The winner of wealth or the conqueror of wealth. Then Kapidwaja. Dwaj means what?
Flag.
And who is on Arjuna's flag? Kapi.
Hanuman.
Ah, so he whose flag was marked with Hanuman. Gudakesha.
Gudakesha.
Someone who conquered the sleep.
One who conquers sleep and ignorance. Partha.
Partha. Yeah. Partha oh, this name has been said so many times.
Son of?
Son of Pritha.
Son of Pritha. Yes, very nice. So Pritha is another name of Kunti. Then Bharata.
The son of Bharata.
Yes, or descendant of Bharata dynasty. Not son of, he's a descendant. So he was his ancestor. Kaunteya.
Son of Kunti.
Son of Kunti. Very nice. Purusha Rishava. Purusha Rishava. Purusha means?
Men.
Rishava means? Best among men. Okay.
Best.
Mahabahu. Again, this is also Arjuna's name.
Mahabahu.
The mighty arm. The
Mighty
same.
arm.
Yeah.
Kuru Nandana.
The son of Nanda.
No, who's the son of Nanda? We are saying Arjuna's names here.
Yeah. What's his father's name? Nanda Baba.
Son of Kurus, no?
Yes. Yeah. Of the Kurus, because he belongs to the Kuru dynasty.
Kuru dynasty.
Parantapa.
Parantapa.
Chastiser of the enemies. Anaga.
Anaga, you mentioned this in the class today.
Yes.
I forgot the meaning, but you mentioned it very clearly.
Sinless.
Sinless, yeah.
Now, Bharata Rishava.
The son of Bharata.
No, Purusha Rishava means best among men. So, Bharata Rishava means?
Oh, the best among Bharata.
The
Chief
best among the descendants of Bharata.
Bharata.
Okay.
Kuru Sattama.
The Kuru dynasty. So,
Best amongst the Kurus. It's like Uttama. Okay. Tat. Many times Krishna tells Arjuna, Tat.
I think friend.
Yes, my friend. So, Krishna's friend. Okay, so Yoga Ladder, we've already done the previous class. We will begin chapter 7. Let's see how far we can go. So, chapter 7, titled Knowledge of the Absolute. It has a total of 30 verses. But before we begin the chapter, we need to see what are the benefits of learning, reading, reciting this particular chapter number 7. So, these stories or histories, actually, not stories, but histories are from the Padma Purana. And then they are from the Gita Mahatmya, which is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. So Lord Shiva is describing, he's saying, my dear Parvati, now I will tell you the glories of the 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, hearing which one feels his ears have been filled with divine nectar, Lord Shiva is saying. So Lord Shiva is describing that there is a town called Patliputra, which has many gates. In that town of Patliputra, there was a Brahmana called Shankukarna. Now, this Brahmana Shankukarna, he took to business and he became a very, very successful businessman. He amassed a huge amount of wealth, but he never engaged in any karma kanda process. He did not do any kind of devotional activity. He was becoming more and more rich. And then eventually he became so rich that even great kings would go and have dinner with him in his house. Now, Shankukarna was very rich and he amassed a lot of wealth, but he was very, very miserly, very kanjus, as we say, in Hindi, very, very miserly, and he kept all his wealth buried under the ground. Now, one day, this Brahmana was going along with his children and his relatives for his fourth marriage, and they all stopped. The whole marriage party stopped at one place to rest for the night. Now, at that time in the night, as they were resting, a snake came and bit this Brahmana. Now, the sons and the relatives realized that the snake has bitten him. So they called for doctors, they called for snake charmers, but no one was able to help Shankukarna. And shortly thereafter, he passed away. Now, when he passed away, he attained the body of Preta Sarp. Preta Sarp, a snake ghost. And the only thing that he was able to think of in this ghost body was about his own wealth, which he had buried very close to his house. Now, of course, nobody knows where this wealth is. He had never informed anybody in his family, not even his sons, that he has kept wealth buried over there, near his house under the ground. So even in the form of that Preta Sarp, he was residing at the place where his health was buried, so that no one else is going to take that wealth. So that attachment is still there even in that ghost body. And then after some time, over a period of time, and eventually he became tired of being in that body of that Preta Sarp. He was tired of being in that body of that snake ghost. And then he appeared in the dream of his sons and he requested his sons to help him. So next morning, his sons were also very, very lazy. The sons, they woke up and they all told each other about the dream that they had seen. So they have all seen the same dream. And then one of the sons, he took a digging instrument and he started to dig in that place where the father had indicated that he was living in the dream. So then he started digging and he was digging and digging and digging for a long time, but he was not able to find the wealth. And then after searching for a long time, he came across a snake hole. And then he started to dig in that snake hole. And then the snake comes out. That snake is none other than his father, right? So the father in that snake ghost body is telling that, "Oh, fool, who are you? Why have you come here? Who has sent you? Why are you digging at this place? And please reply to my questions." So then the son is saying that, "I am your son. My name is Shiva. In a dream last night, I saw that there were hidden treasures in this place and I came to take those treasures." Then the Preta Sarp started to laugh and said that, "If you are my son, then why are you not doing the necessary rituals to free me from this hellish condition of the snake body?" Because these sons are very lazy. They did not even do the pindadan and all the rituals, the death rituals for their father. So he's saying that, why, if you are my son, why have you not done those rituals to free me from this condition? The father is saying that, "I was greedy in my last life, therefore I have got this body. Now you are also heading in the same way. You are also being greedy. You are only concerned for the wealth and you are also heading the same way." Then the son is telling, "Okay, my dear father, tell me now, how can you be freed from this condition?" And then the Preta Sarp says that, "Not by any charity, tapasya or yagya. The only way that I can be freed from this condition is by reciting the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita." So he says that, "Please perform the Shraddh ceremony for me. And on that day, you invite a Brahmana who every day recites the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and feed him very nicely," he says. So then Shiva, the son, he goes with his elder brother. They bring a Brahmana who chants the 7th chapter and they did exactly what the father has instructed. And then after that, Shankukarna gave up that body of a Preta Sarp and he attained a 4-armed form. So he's attained the same Rupa. Sarupa is that Mukti that he has got. So he achieved a divine 4-armed body and then he's taken to Vaikuntha. Then the sons also, now they have developed detachment. And whatever wealth that they got, the father, before departing, he informs where exactly the wealth was. So then they use all that wealth for building temples, for digging wells, for distributing food stuff. And then they also engage every day in the recitation of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And very quickly, they also attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So Lord Shiva says, my dear Parvati, I have told you the wonderful glories of 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who hears this description will be freed from all sinful reactions. So the Falashruti of chapter 7 is detachment from wealth, freedom from sinful reactions, and attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna.
Mataji, can I ask you a small question about chapter 7?
Yes.
One time reading chapter 7 or hearing, they will be free from all sinful reaction, or over and over again the reading and hearing?
Yeah, depends on how pure is the reading, with how much dedication and how much surrender you're reading. So even one moment of surrender is enough, but to come to that one moment of surrender, it requires practice. So it depends on the quality of the reading.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
But for most people on the planet, it has to be over and over again, regularly, every day. Okay, now breakdown of chapter 7 is divided into 6 sections. What is the connection between chapter 6 and chapter 7? In 6.47, Krishna explains that a yogi who always thinks of me in devotion is the best. So this is the last verse of the chapter. In 46, Krishna said that one should be connected to any yoga process. And then in 47, he established Bhakti Yoga as the most superior of all the yoga systems. So in 67, he says a yogi who always thinks of me in devotion is the best. So thinking in devotion is important. Even, for example, even Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna, but he was not thinking of Krishna in a favorable way, because Kamsa, even before Krishna appeared, Kamsa knew that Devaki's 8th son is going to kill me. And from that time onwards, he was so, he was only thinking about Krishna because he was afraid that Krishna will kill me, Krishna will kill me, Krishna will kill me, right? He sent so many demons one after the other to kill Krishna. So even Kamsa was thinking of Krishna. But what is important is one should think of Krishna in devotion, in a favorable way, not in an unfavorable way like Kamsa. So 7.1 will explain how to do so. How can we always think of Krishna in devotion? In 47 also, Krishna used the word Shraddhavan, in full faith. Now, this faith comes from knowledge. Faith will not come just like that. Faith comes from knowledge. As we hear about Krishna, as we hear about him from him, and also from his bona fide authorities, then we develop faith. So without knowledge, one may doubt Krishna's position. If somebody just walks into the room and tells us that I want you to surrender unto me, our first question is, who are you and why should I surrender unto you? So we want to know about this person. We are not just going to surrender just like that, right? So we need to know about this person. We need to have knowledge about that person. So therefore, Krishna now in this middle section, he reveals his position. He reveals who he is. He gives us knowledge about himself. So from 7 to 12, the Bhakti section, Krishna presents the knowledge of himself as the supreme personality of Godhead to inspire and strengthen. So here Krishna is stressing on hearing. Acquiring knowledge by discerning process as the only process. Okay, whose microphone is unmuted? Okay, so shloka number 1. Let's hear the shloka.
अथ सप्तमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु.
Translation. Now hear, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full. So here, see, Krishna is saying that you just hear, now hear. And as we discussed previously, There are 9 items of devotional service, out of which the principal one, the first item is Shravanam. Shravanam means
Hearing.
hearing, isn't it? So here, say Krishna is beginning the bhakti section by saying Tat Shrinu. Just hear. Okay, hearing. By hearing, we will develop faith. We should hear from Krishna. We should hear from the bona fide authorities of Krishna, or we should hear from the devotees of Krishna about Krishna, or about the devotees of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is all about the narration of Krishna and his devotees and the loving interchange between the Lord and his devotees, right? Bhakti means the Lord is there, the devotee is there, and there is a loving transcendental relationship between the two. That is bhakti. So here Krishna is saying that just hear from me. See, another thing to note here is this chapter is not beginning with Arjuna asking a question, because previously Krishna has said that Bhakti Yoga is the best amongst all the yoga processes. Now, Krishna has not waited for Arjuna to ask a question. Okay, so what is this Bhakti Yoga? How should it be practiced? What we should do? What are the benefits of Bhakti Yoga? Before Arjuna could even ask any of these questions, immediately Krishna has started to speak. So this chapter is not beginning. Krishna has not waited for Arjuna to ask any question about, please explain this Bhakti Yoga process. Because this subject matter is so close to his heart, he is starting this chapter without Arjuna prompting him with any question. Okay. See, if you see this verse, if you just invert it, the message will come like that. Tat Shrinu is the last word here, but you put it here. No? Hear about Krishna. When you hear about Krishna, then what happens? Yatak Nyasyasi. You will know about Krishna. So this whole thing is, I've just inverted this verse here. So when you hear about Krishna, you will know about Krishna. When you know about Krishna, what happens? Samagram, complete. What is complete? You will get complete knowledge about Krishna. When you get complete knowledge about Krishna, then all your doubts will go away. When all your doubts will go away, then Mad Ashraya, you will take shelter. You will take shelter of Krishna. And when you take shelter of Krishna, what does it mean? Yogam Yunjan. You will practice Bhakti Yoga, or you will practice Krishna consciousness. And when you practice Krishna consciousness, Mai Asakta Manaha, where we will think, our mana in our mind, we will think of Krishna. Asakta means we will be attached. So we will be thinking of Krishna. So it all begins by hearing. Hearing is very, very important. When a person passes away, the last sense to fail is the hearing. And when the child is in the womb, the first sense to develop also for the living entities is the hearing. Because the child in the womb, he cannot see, right? He cannot eat, but he can hear. The child responds to the sound vibrations. Therefore, when one is expecting a baby, the mother should hear and watch good things. The right sound vibration should go to the child in the womb. So hearing is very, very important. Also, if you know that somebody is going to leave his body, if somebody is passing away in the last days, how can we help that person? By putting the Maha Mantra very, very close to his ears, because although he may be in coma, he cannot talk, he cannot see, he can still hear, right? A person in coma can hear what you speak. So hearing is very, very important function. So he's beginning this Bhakti Yoga section by saying, Tat Shrinu, just hear. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, concentration of the mind upon Krishna the Supreme is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tat Shrinu, or hear from me. 7.2.
Jnanam deham savijnanam idam vakhyamyasheshatah yajñātvā neha bhūyonya jnātavyamavashishyate.
Translation, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So what is Krishna saying? Very, very important, very, very crucial. Krishna is saying that what he is going to declare now, after this, there is nothing further remaining for you to know, which means nothing more is needed for you to know to go back home, back to Godhead. So he's saying that I'm going to give you this knowledge in full, complete. So Krishna is not going to hold back anything. He's giving us the full knowledge. Both phenomenal and numinous. Now, phenomenal knowledge means material knowledge, and numinous knowledge means spiritual knowledge. So Krishna is going to give both material as well as spiritual. Both of them together constitute transcendental knowledge. See, Srila Prabhupada explains, complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. So we should understand material as well as the spiritual, and the source of both the material and the spiritual. Where is it all coming from? Who is that one person? There can be many controllers. Srila Prabhupada explains in the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada explains how there can be many controllers, but there can be only one supreme controller. A country can have many ministers, but there can be only one prime minister, or there can be only one president, right? So like that, who is the one person who is the source of all that is material and all that is spiritual? When you know all this, then that is complete transcendental knowledge. So see, phenomenal knowledge, material knowledge is jnana, and numinous knowledge or spiritual knowledge is vijnana. So jnana here refers to Aishwarya jnana, and vijnana refers to Madhurya jnana. Now, what is this Aishwarya jnana and Madhurya jnana? Now, there are two aspects to Krishna. One is Aishwarya and the other is Madhurya. The greatness and the sweetness. Aishwarya means greatness, Madhurya means sweetness. The Lord is great, but he's also very, very sweet. So when Krishna is displaying his Virat Roop, that is Aishwarya Jnana or Madhurya Jnana?
That's
Madhurya.
Aishwarya Dhyan.
Aishwarya Jnana. When Krishna is displaying the Damodar Leela, that is Aishwarya Jnana or Madhurya Jnana?
Madhurya.
Madhurya
Because
Madhurya
that's
Jnana.
a
So
sweet.
when he's stealing the clothes of the gopis, when he's stealing butter from the gopis, that is Madhurya or Aishwarya?
Madhurya.
Madhurya. When he says Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, I am the supreme lord of all the planetary systems.
Aishwarya.
That is
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya, isn't it? So Krishna has two aspects, Aishwarya and Madhurya. So 7 and 8, he is going to give us Aishwarya Jnana. In chapter 9, he gives us Madhurya Jnana. And 10, 11 and 12, he gives us both together. So this is the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. Because Krishna is saying that after you hear this, nothing further shall remain to be known. So Srila Prabhupada explains that when the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known. Because what more you want to know? If you know who is the cause of all the causes, right? The one who's causing all that is taking place, then there is nothing further remaining to be known. Therefore, we have full knowledge. We know exactly what we require to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. See, different preachers, they preach according to time, place, and circumstances. So one may say that, for example, let's take the example of reincarnation. Now, in some faiths, reincarnation, the concept of reincarnation does not exist. They do not believe in reincarnation. So one can say, then does it mean that it is bogus? No, it is not bogus. It is also bona fide. Only thing is that in other faiths, which are not bogus, not all knowledge is revealed, because the preacher will preach according to time, place, and circumstances. Now, there is this statement by Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ said that I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. So what does that mean? It means that still there are many things that he could have said, he could have taught, he could have preached, but he chose not to do so because of time, place, and circumstances. Because the people to whom he was preaching at that time, the circumstances were such that they would not be able to bear it. They will not be able to understand it. Therefore, he withheld some information. Also, if you see in the Islamic faith, there is a statement by Prophet Muhammad where Prophet Muhammad said that he woke up, he once told his disciples that in his sleep he was transported to the kingdom of God, and he was given 3 books of knowledge to read. And after he read, he was told that one book of knowledge, yes, he has to preach and share it to his followers. The second book of knowledge, he should not give this knowledge to the others. And the third, it was up to him to choose what he wants to share and what he does not want to share. So these other religions which are bona fide, it's not that they are bogus, but they do not give you all the information because they choose to preach according to time, place, and circumstances. See, reincarnation, for example, how will you explain that a child is suffering? Say if there is no past life and there is no future life, if all of us are beginning from point zero, all of us, when we take birth from the wombs of our mothers, we are all beginning at zero, then why is it that one child is born blind or one child is born with a disease? Let's say he's having AIDS, he's HIV positive from birth, right? And why is another child healthy? Why one child is born in a rich family and the other child is born in a slum area where from the very beginning he's facing hunger and there is no clean water to drink also? So why is that? There is no way this question can be answered unless you bring in the reincarnation angle to it, because there is a past life. We are continuing from where we left off because we are suffering the karmic reactions from a past life. But if there is no reincarnation, if we are all beginning from zero, then how is it that one is suffering from birth and one is very happy from birth? We cannot say that the Lord is unjust. We cannot say that the Lord is unfair, or we cannot say that the Lord has made a mistake. No, because God is all perfect. He is not he cannot be unfair. So the only way to explain this is by bringing in the angle of reincarnation. But this was not explained or not taught because preachers will preach according to time, place, and circumstances. But Krishna said that I will declare unto you in full this knowledge. So Krishna has not withheld anything back. See, later you can read this. This is an article which I found online about how a girl asked a question, and this question was not answered satisfactorily. Why? Because of this very same reason. Because this girl had this very question. Why did God let this happen to us? Because she is suffering in poverty and she is asking why did this happen to us? So the Pope actually said that where is that statement? See, the nucleus of your question almost does not have a reply. So you see, this question actually cannot be answered unless you bring in the reincarnation angle. Then he went on to say other things, but again the central point is that why would we all not have the same beginning if there is no reincarnation? Okay, so you can read this later. Actually, you can Google this title and you can read in detail. See, Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter that there is a book called Aquarian Gospel in which it is stated that Lord Jesus Christ lived in the temple of Jagannath. Without being his devotee, how could he live there? And how the authorities could allow a non-devotee to live there. From that book, it appears that Lord Jesus Christ lived in intimate relations with the priest order. So if you see, there is a record of Jesus Christ up to 12 years. And then from his age of 30 onwards, there is a record of his activities. But from the age of 12 to the age of 30 is called as the missing years of Jesus Christ. Nobody knows where he was during these 18 years, middle 18 years of his life. And so there are many theories, but this particular gospel says that actually he lived in the temple of Jagannath. So he did associate with the priests of Sanatan Dharma. And he was actually preaching Sanatan Dharma. Jesus Christ never said that he is God. Jesus Christ always said that he is the Son of God. He never said that I'm preaching Christianity. The word Christianity or Christianity was given by the followers of Jesus Christ to what Jesus Christ was preaching. But Jesus Christ never said that I'm preaching Christianity, isn't it? So therefore, this is how we understand so that we are not disrespectful to other bona fide religions. Not all gospels also made it to the Bible. Unfortunately, many Bibles were burned, many Bibles were destroyed, many times the Bible was rewritten. It's very unfortunate. So, and not all the gospels found their way in the Bible. But this particular gospel does say that Jesus Christ lived in the temple of Jagannath. Actually, there is also some ancient scriptures in the Jagannath temple that has a record of how Jesus Christ lived in that particular temple. And then he went to Himalayas and he went to Nepal, and he also associated with other devotees. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue the next class if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Jai.
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Do we have any questions?
Today's class was superb.
I thought it was because I summarized the first 6 hours. I was wondering if people would like or they would not like, or we're just, but
Really superb. At least
No,
we
Mataji, even
we
I
recap-
loved your class today. It was so nice. What you did for the entire class was just superb, yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
we recapped it, everything.
Thank you. Yeah, because Kali Yuga, no, we tend to forget. So we need a summary. And anyway, now when I will share the slides, I have, let me, one second, let me show you something. Oh, I closed that, one second. See, in this PPT, which I'll be sharing, you have these chapter summaries here that will also help you. So you can read this also offline. And then you have this, which is a summary of chapter 6, then Arjuna's questions, which we saw, and the names. So this will also help you. Actually, you also need to study at home, read the purports, go through purports you read anyway when you do the exams. But the more you read, the more Krishna will reveal.
Mataji, this slide that you just showed us, it is us, like we have that in the group chat.
I will be sharing it today at the end of this class.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, what else? So we
Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Thank you so much for your association.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
For
Krishna.
your association and for your blessing, Mataji.
Thank you. So Rashmi Sali, are you joining us for the first time?
Yes,
Thank you for joining us. Are you in the group?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Nice. Thank you.
Classes started 9 o'clock EST time.
EST time, I don't know, 11 o'clock Chile time. Let me see. Yeah, 9 a.m. EST time, Mataji. Correct.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so have a nice week in Krishna consciousness. If Krishna so sanctions, we will continue with chapter number 7 in the next class.
Yeah.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Addi Sri Nam Mataji ke jai. Jai Pataka Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandat
Thank you,
Pranam.
Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.